Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host for today's episode. And today on the show, I have Terrell Turner, founder of Mod Studios, as my guest. We're going to be learning about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices, and challenges that he has faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to own and operate a business. Welcome, and thanks for being here. So excited to have you on the show.
No, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I'm
Of
looking forward to kind of hearing the questions and stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. Before we dive into all things business, though, I would love to hear a little bit about you. So, feel free to share a bit about your backstory.
Sure. I'm originally from the Midwest. I moved to Texas in 2019. Midwest wise, I'm originally from Chicago. So I was kind of used to seeing the Bears lose quite a bit growing up. But yeah, I guess when I was younger, I was kind of a Bears fan. And then, when you see your team lose that much, you kind of jump around. So then I was started saying I like San Francisco, and then I like the Vikings. So either way, I moved down here to Texas, and I know a lot of people are Cowboys fans and die hard. So I don't really shout much about what my favorite team is because I know there's a lot of big fans. But um, yeah, I enjoy Texas since I've moved out here. I lived in a couple of other different states as well because my father is in pharmaceuticals. So yeah, I've lived in Nevada. I've been in California, lived in Wisconsin as well, and then I moved out here on my own to kind of figure it out. Growing up, I always saw myself going to UT.
Mhm.
I was just a Longhorns fan. I don't know what it was, but I was just a really big fan of them. And then I ended up going to school for media arts and animation, but I initially started off in graphic design as well. And always wanted to tell stories, and I was really interested in seeing. I used to watch those little movies that would come with, or not the little movies, but the little documentaries that would come with movies that would show like the behind the scenes and like the day in the life of the different artists and creatives. And I remember like seeing some of the animators, and I was like, oh man, that looks like a really fun, job. And you play games and you watch movies and you see how people can convey such emotion with character movement, and that was really powerful for me to see how people did that, like in Tarzan. That's just amazing artwork, amazing style, and you watch it and you feel like that's a person and a person could do those things, and so I just want to be a part of that.
Well, I love that story. I am also from the Midwest. I'm from North Dakota.
There we go. Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, so I was always a Packers fan. I jumped ship from the Vikings to the Packers and
These heads, okay, yeah, yeah,
you can wear cheese on your head. I was like,
yeah.
oh, well, that's fun. Well, I really love to hear how you've been like diving into your passion. And so you started Mod Studio. So let's talk about that. So tell me about how did you get started? Like what was that aha moment or how did that look for you to create your own business?
No, that's a really good question. So I was kind of working as a freelance illustrator for a kind of number of years, and I guess the story starts a little bit farther back than like right when it first happened. But I think most of the times these stories kind of do. And I was wanting initially, I was kind of drawing and looking into getting into comics, and so I was making like indie stuff and stories, and I was writing a lot and. I was taking a lot of like mentorship programs or, like sides, it's schooling outside of college where, you pay a certain amount, you get to like speak with a professional in that industry. And, there's not really like a break into animation or comics specific courses. I mean, there's Cal Arts and things like that, but there was some specific things I wanted to learn. And I was blessed with the opportunity where someone I had messaged about being an animator like years and years ago when I was like I was maybe like 18 or 19. I don't know, it was on Instagram. I messaged him and, messages and everyone, you're busy, you've got life, things going on. I'm the worst at it too. So he like never responded. Years later, he sends me a message. I think he had seen one of my pieces on Instagram and he was saying, "Hey, you ever thought about storyboarding?" And he was like, "I'm really sorry about, not seeing your message, but it's something you should consider." So I started learning about it from him. Then I started researching a lot about animation just on my own, taking classes and improving what I'd already learned from college. And I ended up getting like my first breakthrough uh, position at DreamWorks, working as a revisionist for on Kung Fu Panda, the Dragon Knight. So it was a show for Netflix. And so I got to work on that show. Super exciting. First gig, and like you've got all the energy in the world and you have all the things you kind of want to do, and you just learn how the industry goes. You start to see how like who has control over the story, the things that happen, and how the directors can really help shape and make sure that things go in a certain direction. So a lot of people kind of join animation and they either want to be directors or they want to, kind of stay and be like a senior or lead animator. And I don't know, I was talking about ideas I had for stories and stuff like that, and I would hear about people who would spend like years on a pitch, submit it after doing all this work, and then it would kind of get shot down. And these a lot of times it's really good ideas, and I understand how studios, there's a lot of things they have to look at, but there's a lot of work that you see that people put into their passion, and I was like, man, I really want to see a lot of those ideas come to fruition. And I have my own ideas where I was like, I've been carrying these for such a long time. I really want to see them come to fruition and be visual and kind of put myself out there. So I'd already been kind of coming up with the idea of what the studio name would be. And now that I've kind of been in the industry so many years, so I went from DreamWorks to then working with DreamWorks again after that, another project. And then I started with working with Nickelodeon and Paramount. And so while I was working, my whole goal was just learning as much as I could about all the different positions and what everyone was doing and just taking notes on that. And finally, I was kind of doing some work and looking at things. I'm like, you know what, maybe it's something I could make, start small, begin this studio, start reaching out to like-minded individuals, and that's where we kind of are today. We're like full steam ahead on our first project, and finishing everything in terms of like where we're gonna go with it. We've already got the writing done. We've got most of the concept work basically done. And then we've started on boards and initial drafts and stuff. So we're really excited to kind of share it and to see what people think about it. But it's been quite the journey. I'd say the about maybe 5 or so, 6 years I've been in the industry mixed with my previous experience doing graphic design, and then now I'm on this team with like just so many really talented individuals. I'm just excited, to be honest, and I don't know, it's a lot. It's such an interesting time for it as well. So yeah, that's to answer your question. That's kind of where the dream, if you will, began, and now it's still weird. I think when you have an idea for something, you see it like really taking shape and it's not just words on paper. You really, I don't know, there's something like strange about just seeing that transition that is just really inspiring, like you're saying, for others and to see it with other people and now to see it in yourself. It's just an inspirational time.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. And what cool projects you've worked on. I mean, I'm all about movie magic. So I think it's so fun to hear that. And so now with Mod, who I kind of want to dive into two questions on the business, but the
Sure,
first one is like, who is your ideal client? Who is that person that you're looking for projects?
sure, sure. So we're looking for a mixture of people who either own and operate churches, businesses who also are very creative in terms of looking at like if you like 90s content, if you like the late 80s, these are the kind of people we're looking to kind of help out there. So
Hmm.
again, a lot of churches, businesses who like really high energy animation, like anime kind of style. We can do commercials. We're making our own production right now on the side. But everyone on the team has creativity and work in any kinds of design field. I mean, I've got graphic designers as well with many years of influence. So we're we're a faith-based studio, so our content is aligned with with the message of Christ and what he did on the cross. But we also help out with people who are trying to learn in industry as well. So we're making our own content. We create content for churches and small businesses that people that know what they want and have a clear understanding of style and design. So we've actually worked with a couple of high, I guess you would say, like high caliber studios and other creatives out there to help them design like the look and feel of what we're doing. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff is under like NDA for the time being, so I can't really list any names. But a lot of the companies and the places we've worked for are mid-range to like startup level businesses that are trying to change what people originally remember them as, or need a complete update to their logo and style, and so they can kind of come to us, as
Hmm.
well as businesses that want to reach like the TikTok and the Gen Z generation who love, they love anime, they love animation. And we're able to kind of hit that. Our style is a mixture of, I would say, like Avatar: The Last Airbender for fans out there who know what that is, and like traditional 90s anime. And so it's American, it's Japanese, it's a mix of all of that. And yeah, it's super confident, super dedicated team that really just knows how to like see the visions of whatever our clients need.
Well, that sounds really incredible. And you mentioned something I want to dive into. You
Sure.
said your team. And so I'd love to learn about your team. How many, like first, what's your ownership structure like with the business? And then how many team members do you have?
Sure. So I'm the founder and like lead creative on the team. I have a couple lead concept artists who've have quite the track record working with some of them worked in gaming and in graphic design who work on the team as well. So in total, there's about 14 of us right now. There's we have a sound team, we have a couple of voice actors, and then we have a composite artist. He's like our lead main composite artist. And
Mhm.
then I have like three main concept artists who have kind of helped design, whether it's the characters and the interiors and then like 3D models for the show. So it's mainly me in the executive, big decision making role part of the company, and then everyone else working under me is more of like on a, if you will, like contract basis, since it's
Mhm.
an art studio. Typically in animation, you have, there might be some people who are long-standing members on the team long term, but usually it's project to project. You outsource the work as what's needed, and the people that I currently have are probably going to be people who are long term, like they're just staying with us and who will be doing things as needed.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for like clarifying
Sure.
that. So are currently all of your team members contracted, or are there any in-house like admins or staff?
Yeah, so there's about of that 14, I would say 10 of them are full on staff. And then there's about four who are kind of contract. They kind of come in, come out. And then they've got other projects that they're working on as well. And so they're more of a like a consultant kind of a role within the company.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that I'm excited to see your work too, because I love animations and all of that. And and creative teams are so cool. So, when did you say you started the company?
We started as of May of this year. The structure and everything was already down before then, but that's when you could say we kind of put our flag in the ground, started showing up and saying, "Hey, here we are." And then yeah, the reception's been really incredible. I've just been watching as there's like been a lot of changes in the animation industry. I'm not too sure if your viewers are aware. Um, we went through this period with COVID when everyone was home and they were streaming, and you could put out a movie that was, a banana on a stool and people were watching it just because there was not, you can leave your home. What else can you do? And so now it's really the focus is really honing in, and there's so many different streaming platforms, so many different ways of getting content that it's hard for people to find like specific things they want. And no one wants to sign up for all that stuff. I think most people have Netflix or maybe HBO. Um, but even I only have like one of those, and then like that's it. Like I don't really branch out too much in that. So yeah, I've seen where now the industry, the bigger studios, they're huge. There's so many, really talented people working that we wanted to create something small. We're really agile and we can kind of make changes very quickly. And also because of our smaller structure, it's easier for us to like get content that we like going. We're not answering to shareholders and stakeholders just yet. It's just us and me and the quality that we're kind of used to already as fans of the industry and as people who've been, working in this field already. So we're really able to kind of make stuff that we like, that we see a need for out there in the industry.
Oh, definitely. And you mentioned something I want to dive into there too, when you talked about focusing on kind of like honing in. Now, how are you setting yourself apart in the industry that there's a lot out there. How are you kind of making yourself stand out?
Well, I think again, it probably just goes towards our faith. Like everyone in the studio is really focused on making sure that as we create these stories, we focus on the story first. When I interviewed each and every one of them, I kind of let them know, I'm like, hey, I come from this background. I love film. I love movies. I grew up Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Back to the Future. So I kind of really miss the way we used to tell stories in film, where we focus more on the characters, what was happening, and making things relatable to people. And I've just felt like there's been some content here and there that's come out that really hasn't been able to like grab audiences and make them, you go to the movie, you should escape, right? You shouldn't be, you're not, yeah. I don't want to go to the movies and then remember what's outside in a way. I kind of want to go to the movies and like connect with someone else and their story and their journey. And that's where when you do that, I think when you want people to learn lessons or to teach them things, they want things that are true no matter who you are. And I think that's why when you have all like movies that we see in theaters today, a lot of the older films, when they re-release them, do really well. And it's because there's things that are fundamentally or fundamental to those films and stories that connect to everyone. And so with what we're working on, it's a Christian-based story. It's going to touch on, themes of family, sacrifice, and ultimately, like reconciliation with family members. And it's a mature story. It's not Veggie Tales. It's not Kumbaya, my Lord, people sitting in a circle doing. And I think there's a certain viewpoint when it comes to Christian content where it's either we're again, either we're giving you Veggie Tales, it's singing animals, and it's, this happy-go-lucky thing, and everyone's perfect, or it's we're kind of retelling the stories within the Bible. And I don't think that personally, I just don't think that that really will connect with people now. I want to be able to kind of meet them in terms of their people love anime. I've loved anime, but there's not really too much of an outlet for Westerners as much or Christians as much. And so I was hoping that with what we're creating, the story we're telling, that people can find something that they connect with, something they can bring their families to, and something that won't will stand the test of time, we hope. We're not going to beat Disney in terms of capital or quality, especially not right now. But we hope it's something that you can put in your whatever player we have in the future now, your super fancy 8K Blu-ray, with all the bells and whistles, and still feel like it's a good film that you could connect with now, and then share with your kids. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do with the show we're making. And we think because of that, we'll be able to connect with people, long term.
Definitely. Well, I love what you're building and the mission that you have behind it as well. I kind of want to go into, as
Sure.
bringing focus to business ownership, and there's some always those challenges that come up when starting a business, and it's so good to talk about those things as business owners because it
Sure.
can be really lonely up there. So, what are some of the things as a new business owner that you're challenged with currently, and what kind of solutions are you implementing to help with that?
Definitely. Yeah, I think when you head down that path, right, there's a tendency to, especially when you're kind of in the founder position, to think you need to do everything.
Hmm.
And there's also a tendency to kind of, I don't know what the word for it is, but it's like you go like this, right? You don't open up. You're really like holding on. It's your baby, it's your baby. And in my case, it's my first baby, my first business, and so I think one thing that was kind of difficult at first, but I've been working on a lot more is just opening my arms up to help to others when people are asking. I've been really blessed that a lot of the people in the team are like get up and go getters. They want to help, they want to do whatever is needed. Everyone wants to jump in and be a part of it, and so just like opening up to them and saying, hey, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm stuck with, and letting others saying, hey, I can do this part or I can do that, and not boxing people in. I think sometimes it's like you say, hey, I need, well, with an animation, like I need an editor or I need a 3D modeler, I need this. And then there's people who in the startup phase at least are like, well, I like this, but I also want to edit, or I like this, but I also want to try that. And saying, all right, you know what? How about this? You take this small aspect of it, and show me what you got. And people have been doing that on the team. And so there were points where I was like, well, I'm gonna have to design this, and and I know what I want the characters to look like here and design that. And it's been really awesome to let go, and give people, especially those who I can tell it's like they're really invested in what we're doing, give them the opportunity to kind of run with certain things. And that just makes my load lighter,
Mm.
So I think that's been the most helpful thing. Because yeah, when it's your baby and it's your idea, there's just that tendency to think you got to do it all, and as you start hiring people and getting people to help you with stuff, you kind of quarter them off to doing certain things, and you do everything else. And as I'm growing, I'm like, it's gonna be way easier if I get more comfortable with letting go and
Mm.
letting people do the things that they need to do, and reaching out for help. It's great to be a jack of all trades and a master of one, but when you can kind of lighten your own load, I think it's a good thing.
Oh, definitely. That's a golden nugget that a lot of business owners struggle with is that letting go and passing the baton talented team members. And so, you know, personally, how are you tackling that? Like, give me an example of one thing that you've done where you've allowed or that you've had to let go.
I think the first thing was probably when just sharing the idea. That was big for me because especially within animation and in this field, I mean, there's a lot of people who know the pipeline pretty well. And so you know, they'll have their own ideas and they'll do it, you know, they'll do it all. They'll pitch their idea, they'll do all the drawings, they'll have it a specific way. They'll do the writing, they'll do it, you know, they just do it all in the list. And so um I'd already finished the writing and like the main character concepts and started putting out started working more on it and I was like, man, I don't want to get behind on this. I see that right now if I keep moving, I'm on the bleeding edge. I don't want to be behind that or too far ahead of that wave, and I want to be too far behind. I just want to be right at the top. And so I started just thinking to myself, I prayed on it a bit, but my main thing was like, I need to reach out to people and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is the company. This is our goal. And is this something you're interested in? And so in the hiring process, that was it. And I'm pretty, my main goal was to be as honest as possible about all aspects. And I think that's really helped. Um, Keep that the camaraderie with the team and the trust, you know, because it's very easy to get to a position where you're like, well, oh, I'm this and you guys are that, or to make
Mhm.
people feel kind of less than or to separate them. And so when I think I just went in with that faith of saying, hey, this is everything that I have. This is the company, this is the story, this is my goal. Are you in or you're out? You know? And I was really, really surprised by the response. And I think that first initial step of faith in that direction has helped me with letting go in other directions as well. I've had people because again, the hiring process was so personal for me because I was just putting myself out there like this. I had people then, you know, they're already really talented in their position, start to bring other people to me and say, "Hey, this person would be great at that." And so that was difficult because I was like, I've chosen these people out of the, you know, the hundreds of resumes I've received personally, and now to then trust I've only known these, you know, some of them for as long as they've worked on the project with me. And so to then say, all right, you know, I'd love to meet this person and just talk with them. You know, I haven't seen a resume or nothing, but I'd love to just hear what they have to say and do the same thing, just put it all out there. And that's really been really helpful, just long term again with just letting go and knowing that I can't do it all, you know.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, definitely.
and
Well,
I think you see it with with companies a lot. So,
yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I do want to ask you one more question. If you had a magic wand and could overnight rapidly improve one element of your business, what would it be?
mm, I think it's the hindsight 2020 thing. So I think if I could just know what I knew now starting out, I think I would be even farther ahead than where I am. So I think it's just overall knowing the pipeline. If I could make that better, that would make things better overall. Like we figured out a lot of what we want to do now, but when I just started, I didn't know like just so many different back end stuff. So
Mm.
probably would have been that. I would have opened up sooner. That would be the one thing if I had a magic wand, I would fix that. Everything else, like I'm really excited. Everyone's just putting it all out there and really just doing impressive work in such a short amount of time. So I'm excited to share.
Definitely. Now you mentioned pipeline. Is that like your like your lead generator to project conception to project completion, or like, can you
Yes.
dive into what your pipeline is?
Yes, yes. So the pipeline is more so from the structure of like the creative process to end goal, to completed product. That's kind of the one thing where there's so many options with the technology today, and people are using AI for this or that and different programs and things like that. And I think for us, it was really nailing down what programs we wanted to use and the process of it goes to this person or that person or that person. I didn't want to do things the way that the big studios are doing it because we can't, we're not as big as them. And so just finding out what works for us was kind of the early pain point. And so my KPIs have just been looking weekly, what are we able to get done based on the needs? And I feel like if I'd had some of the early structure nailed down first, it would have just made things so much faster. And so we've had to go back and kind of adjust things as we go. So now moving forward, we really know what we want and what we're going to do. But yeah, I think that's what I mean by pipeline. I think in terms of lead generation, um, I don't think there's a lot of tools out there for that. And even we get a lot of hits from what's been really helpful was and strange to me was like LinkedIn.
Mm.
Schools and other small businesses have reached out pretty consistently looking for creative design work or help like boarding for a commercial and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
um, it's just surprising because I think a lot of people thought that because of AI, graphic design and some of the other visual arts would be heavily impacted, and they have been for sure, but um, it's still really good to see that people want people to do things too.
Oh, definitely. I see that as well. Well, this has been such a fun conversation. Before we get to our final question of the day, how can folks get connected with you and your business online?
Sure, you could visit us at modstudios.net. We also have an Instagram page called It's Mod. And we also have a Twitter called modstudios.net. I mean, just Mod Studios. And then you can find us on LinkedIn. And that we've been pretty consistent, more posting on there. But we're really excited the next couple of weeks to start sharing more about the project and to show off our official title card for what we've created. So I'm really excited.
Oh, that sounds great. This has been such a fun conversation. For our final question of the day, what is most inspiring to you today?
It's a mixture of things. I think that we're in some tough times in the world today and right now, and there's been some pretty sad things that have happened recently and some impactful world events that have really hit the world. And I know there's a lot of negativity around them, but I've seen a lot of positivity as well, like a lot of revival and a lot of people who have um just chosen love, chosen support, and chosen positivity in some way. And I think that's been really inspiring. I can't tell you how many times that people have who maybe initially weren't interested in joining have like messaged me or reached out and saying, there's a lot of things going on that have made me like reconsider certain things in my life, or I want to create things that speak more to my heart and more to my faith and stuff like that. And so that's been super inspiring because it tells us that like we're on the right path with what we're doing. And it wasn't a gut reaction for us. It was something we were already in the process of doing. So I think that's been really inspiring.
Well, thank you so much for this great episode, Terrell. It's been so fun to talk to you, get to know your business, and share your story.
Thank you. You as well.